It's about the view. It's like it's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that.
Misogyny and sexism.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sunny gets the ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election.
Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld elevate roast to a new level. Sunny Hostin is being completely destroyed, as if she were the final piece of pizza at a party, gone before you can blink. A library's worth of uncomfortable quiet, huge clapbacks, and savage burns are to be expected. Are you curious in how two prominent TV personalities transformed a somber discussion program into a humorous roasting match? Stay tuned for a hilarious takedown that will go down in history.
Nothing really comes to mind. I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reason for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead of doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game.
Sunny Hostin is their goal. Indeed, that Sunny host, the serious, aggressive, intelligent, and no-nonsense co-host with a don't mess with me attitude, might frighten a pack of untamed wolves. However, it's like putting a lion and a crocodile in the same tank when Greg and Tyrus get together. This time, however, the unfortunate gazelle seems completely lost in the bush as the lion and croc do more than simply battle.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like we're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant.
Sunny Hostin is now well known for being the epitome of serious daytime television commentary. She would have more gold medals than Michael Phelps if sincerity were a sport. She is the kind of person who reads the news as if it were a serious national disaster, giving each syllable the gravity of a funeral procession. It's like a comedic grenade going off in a library when Greg Gutfeld opens his lips, however. It's like a giant gently dropping a piano on your foot when Tyrus joins in. Devastating, steady and slow.
And the view, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stay this Whoopi and Sunny and was it Bette? What's her name? Yeah, broke out Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears.
First, let's speak with Greg. Gutfeld is the kind of person who watches the news as if it were a self-contained comedy. He can prove that with his punchlines. It's like seeing a Shakespearean dramatist mock a soap opera star as Greg battles Sunny Hostin. You'd think Greg had the whole internet in his back pocket because of his razor-sharp sarcasm, which could cut through steel, and his cultural allusions.
The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you, too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would say is, look, we hate Trump so much, we were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up were on their behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
Greg doesn't only make fun of Sunny. He uses her as a metaphor for everything he thinks is ridiculous about the media in general. The self-righteousness encased in fancy suits, the virtue signaling, the inevitable fury. He portrays her as the ideal example of a TV personality who has made sincerity their full-time occupation. Sometimes we forget that comedy is a tool, not a danger. Taking Sunny's most serious arguments and making them seem like they're coming from a robot that was designed to parrot progressive talking points with no human empathy is one of Greg's signature strategies. His sarcasm makes her arguments seem like a broken record in the media, repeating the same theme until even the most ardent supporters have given up. As Greg grabs the podium, you can almost hear the invisible eye roll, transforming the heated disagreement into a joke. However, the fact that Greg's assault isn't simply harsh for the purpose of being mean is what actually makes it rewarding. No, Greg's comedy is effective due of its cleverness. It reveals Sunny's TV persona's inconsistencies and theatricality.
Problem is that you have to go after the racist people, and if be the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. Get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racists on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah.
He's not only making fun of her. By acting as a mirror, he is exposing the whole genre of political commentary in the daytime as sometimes more soap opera than serious journalism. And Tyrus comes next. Tyrus and Greg are like night and day, or maybe more accurately, a feather duster and a sledgehammer. The feather duster, however, strikes harder than you may anticipate in this instance. Tyrus speaks simply, bluntly, and with the composure of someone who has just realized, without even realizing it yet, that they are about to be struck by a freight train. Tyrus is the slow burn, letting the stillness do half the job, whereas Greg is sardonic at lightning speed. Deflating the exaggerated is the theme of his comedy, and Sunny Host is the ideal example. He focuses on the points at which Sunny's arguments get so convoluted that she likely loses her train of thought.
Of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny, she is so wrapped up in identity, had no idea who she was.
Well, we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
He then cuts everything down to the essentials with a single sardonic remark, generally something so clear-cut or direct that it's hard not to chuckle. Tyrus makes his message without shouting or slamming down a microphone. He is the ultimate troll in his delivery. Calm, quiet, and so casual that the joke comes as a surprise. His tone seems to be, "Hey, I'm just here to observe, but also you're ridiculous." And it's like a kind giant subtly pointing out that the Emperor is naked as Tyrus turns to face Sunny. Tyrus's strategy is brilliant because it shows how even the most intelligent commentators may get so engrossed in their own intricacies that they forget that the audience is just interested in honesty and clarity, or at the very least, some amusing mayhem. Tyrus's slow-burning zingers and sly smirks break Sunny Hostin's high-octane solemnity. Now, the collaboration between Tyrus and Greg is what really sets this takedown apart.
They did all those things.
This country is a misogynistic country, and this country is a country that out of all of the first world countries hasn't been able to elect a female president. That's just factual.
Okay, look.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a lot of...
Greg's great energy and razor-sharp sarcasm set the foundation. He is the one who creates the buzz, pointing out the ridiculousness of the media landscape and portraying Sunny as the queen of sanctimony. Tyrus then makes the ideal slow-motion last move, leaving everyone both laughing and gasping as he delivers his devastating one-liner. Like a well-planned dance, their styles go hand in hand. The rapid jab is Greg, the solid uppercut from Tyrus. Greg stirs things up. Tyrus delivers a sobering dose of truth. Sunny just cannot keep up with the beat that they produce together. There is no contest, similar to seeing a heavyweight champion and a tactical genius defeat prima donna, who failed to remember that she had joined up for a comedy battle rather than a debating club. Furthermore, it's obvious that Sunny is outmatched despite her best efforts to maintain her seriousness and signity.
all. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask him who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
Her typical tactic of launching sincere rebuttals fails when confronted with comedy so incisive that there is no chance for a counterattack. The truth is that humor, especially the type Tyrus and Greg use, is more than simply amusement. The goal is to make the serious seem a bit absurd by pointing out the inconsistencies and exposing the facade. This explains why the whole situation is so much more than a humorous TV moment. It provides insight into a changing culture. With its solemn lectures and well-crafted arguments, traditional punditry is under competition from comedy. At the front of that movement are Tyrus and Greg, who use humor as a tool to break through Sunny Hostin's exaggerated seriousness. They're not only making fun of a television personality. In a time when people are sick of the same old somber speeches and want a little anarchy with their news, they are changing the way political opinion is presented. Well, Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld have a type of comic connection that seems staged but isn't. Like peanut butter and jelly, but a little less sweet and a lot more snarky. It's more than simply two men slandering one another. One member of the Precision Strike Squad is a master of deadpan bluntness, while the other is wired for cerebral sarcasm. Together, they produce a humorous dance that is much more savage and more coordinated than a boy band reunion tour.
Thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the view's gravitational pull.
Greg is a brilliant, quick-witted individual who makes insights that are so incisive they might shatter glass. His humor is multi-layered, combining scathing sarcasm with highbrow cultural allusions to deftly analyze the ridiculousness of media figures. He's not only a joker, he crafts linguistic quips that reveal the theatricality of Sunny Host's sincerity, making her lofty declarations seem like a TED lecture delivered by a broken robot. His sense of humor is like to seeing a skilled cook dissect a dripping sandwich. It's also wonderfully barbaric. Tyrus comes in. Tyrus is the heavyweight champion who delivers the knockout with the composure of a monk, while Greg is the linguistic gymnast who flips between intricate sarcasm and quick-fire wit. He has a subtle but deadly approach. You're left gripping your ribs after a slow, methodical hammer to the humorous bone.
Lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly it deserves further study. You know, like a weird bit that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
He is a master of timing, delivering one-liners so well-placed that you don't anticipate the punch until it's already delivered. Tyrus is the steady meteorite that strikes the earth and causes you to gasp in shock, if Greg is the fiery comet sweeping across the sky. They have a two-part comic riff-like dynamic. Greg usually starts out with a scathing quip that seems almost too smart to be cruel. Tyrus then delivers a subtle, devastating one-liner that transforms the whole situation from a giggle to full-on laughing just when you think the joke has hit home. Think about Greg pointing out that Sunny's seriousness is really a well-staged act. Yeah, Tyrus continues quietly, like a soap opera star who forgot her lines. Tyrus's relaxed delivery and Greg's high-energy snark strike a comic sweet spot, making their combined assaults seem unavoidable, like an unavoidable punchline.
The audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable. Hey, I'm an but at least I tip. This dame probably two signals on the toilet. But that's not the point here. While everybody else was trying to figure out how to survive as the government told us that breathing in public could kill us, Sunny was lolling around Big House clicking on pictures of arugula while mixing Cocoa Puff or Haagen-Dazs. Oh, the oppression. I wonder if she wiped down the groceries herself or had her maid do it.
Tyrus and Greg can help with that, using comedy as a knife to cut through the clutter and reveal the underlying absurdities that sincerity is trying to hide. For this reason, the moment of laughing is not the only reason why Greg and Tyrus' defeat over Sunny Hostin is significant. It is a microcosm of how media consumption is changing. Audiences are ravenous for unconventional material that does more than teach or preach. It should also make them laugh. They are not only advancing their TV quarrel when they degrade Sunny Hostin. They are questioning the structure of political discourse itself. Therefore, Greg and Tyrus stand in for the growing wave of humor-driven criticism, whereas Sunny Host may be the face of conventional serious punditry. There is more to their assaults than who wins or loses on a given day. They want to usher in a new age of political commentary consumption and thought. Furthermore, laughing isn't always the greatest medicine in this day and age. The sharpest weapon is this one. Because in the end, Tyrus's uncompromising bluntness and Greg's razor-sharp intelligence combine to create a hilarious force that does more than simply amuse. It deconstructs, reveals, and reinterprets. Because of this, Sunny Host will inevitably be humiliated when she faces Tyrus and Greg. Know of how serious she tries to be. And for that reason, this battle will go down in history. Tyrus and Greg Gutfeld did more than simply make Sunny Host look bad. They reminded us all that sarcasm would always win out in the conflict between seriousness and sarcasm.